When it comes right down to it, every company's biggest asset, the thing that makes or breaks them, is their people. So today we're going to dig into how organizations build up that talent from the inside, and then what happens when that team is suddenly scattered all across the globe.
All right, let's kick things off with a big question. Just think about it for a second. With all the tech, the capital, the patents, what's the one thing that really pushes a company forward?
Yep, it's the people. It has always been the people. They're the ones with the big ideas, the ones who solve the impossible problems, the ones who actually make things happen. So it makes sense that how you manage and develop that human potential, well, that's your ultimate secret weapon.
So, let's start at square one. How does a company go about systematically unlocking all that potential? Well, the answer lies in a field called human resource development, or what we'll call HRD.
Now, the two words that really matter here are systematic and planned. This isn't about, just sending someone to a random conference and hoping for the best. Nope. HRD is a real strategy designed to build the skills your team needs not just for the job they have today, but for the challenges that are right around the corner.
But here's the thing. This is so much more than just a bunch of processes. It's a whole philosophy, and it's built on a pretty awesome belief that people genuinely want to grow and get better. The whole point is to create a culture built on empowerment and trust, where learning new things is just, part of the job.
And honestly, that's the real key. You can have the fanciest training programs in the world, but if the culture isn't right, they're not going to do much good. The ultimate goal is to build an environment where growing and developing your skills feels totally natural, just a normal part of the workday.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? How do you build that culture? Well, you use a specific set of tools. I like to think of it as the HRD toolkit. Everything you need to turn that philosophy of growth into actual real-world action.
So what's inside this toolkit? Well, you've got your everyday stuff, the ongoing things like performance reviews and career planning. Those are called HRD mechanisms. Then you've got your targeted fixes, like a specific leadership workshop for a team that needs it. Those are called interventions. And of course, tying it all together, you need modern systems to manage all that knowledge and data, making sure the right info gets to the right people.
And this all works because of a core idea called the action research model. This just shows that good HRD is never a one-and-done kind of deal. It's a cycle, right? You spot a problem, you come up with a plan to fix it, you put that plan into action, and this is the most important part, you measure the results to see if it actually worked. Then you start all over again.
But here's the classic challenge, right? How do you convince the higher-ups to invest money in something soft, like people development? Simple. You use data. Tools like HR Accounting actually try to put a dollar value on your team's skills, while an HR audit gives you a systematic report card on whether your strategies are really paying off. It turns a fuzzy idea into a solid business case.
Okay, so you've done it. You've built the perfect internal system. Your people are growing, you're measuring the impact, everything is great. But what happens when your teams aren't just in one building? What happens when they're spread across continents, living in different cultures, working in completely different time zones?
Right. This is the point where our neat little domestic toolkit has to evolve into something much bigger, a global playbook. We are now entering the world of International Human Resource Management, or IHRM.
Basically, IHRM is the art and science of managing people on a massive global scale. And just for a second, think about how crazy complex that is. You're not just managing one office anymore. You're trying to sync up your policies between the international headquarters, the national offices, and the local teams on the ground, all at the same time. So let's put it this way. If HR is the toolkit for building one really strong house, IHRM is the playbook for managing an entire portfolio of properties all over the world. Your focus explodes from just one culture to dozens of them. You're suddenly juggling different laws, different languages, different social norms. The complexity just goes through the roof.
So as you can probably guess, managing this kind of borderless workforce comes with a whole new set of challenges that frankly demand entirely new strategies.
And these challenges are, they're huge. It all starts with really truly understanding cross-cultural differences. From there, the goal is to turn that diversity into a strength, a strategic advantage, not something to overcome. That's how you effectively manage teams that span the globe, all while making sure your business is sustainable and ethical.
And here's a super important point. The goal is not to make everyone the same. It's not about wiping out local customs or individual perspectives. It's about integration. It's about blending the company's core culture with regional practices to create this one unified global team that's actually stronger because of its differences.
Now, you can't just wing it when you're dealing with this level of complexity. Companies rely on established IHRM models. These are basically strategic frameworks that help them answer the tough questions, like how much control does headquarters have? How much freedom do the local offices get? They provide a critical blueprint for making it all work.
So when you boil it all down, the journey of modern HR is really this fundamental shift. From the domestic job of building one solid house with an HRD toolkit to the global challenge of navigating a vast, complicated, interconnected world with an IHRM playbook.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. As work becomes truly borderless, as international teams become the default, how are we going to have to redefine the very idea of human resources? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.